All right, guys, here we are from our online review. Today we're going to be talking about the puppet movie Massacre, and we have a special guest with us, Tony. Tony, tell the people who you are.
Hi, I'm Tony from Hack the Movies, and I'm here to talk about this wonderful film with my good friends here. I also do a podcast in a video store talking about movies. What a creative concept that is.
Hold on, just let me call my lawyer. Need to square some stuff away.
So,
yeah, and I also talk about movies. I don't usually talk about movies like this, at least on my main channel. So today is a treat. Today is a real treat.
So you wait to bring those kind of movies to us. So yeah. Tony picked this movie, from a blind list of movies, but he did. I was going to say,
let's really explain. Pick this movie. You guys gave me numbers to choose from, and I picked one at random, and apparently this is the one I selected.
Okay, this is the one you selected. There were worse, there were better, but this is the one you chose.
Yeah.
It's very important early on to say, why did we watch this movie? And this is a good, so now we know. So it's not like it was your fault, right? It's just, okay.
How is this? You sent me a picture of physical discs. Why do you guys own this movie?
Oh, we own every movie. As video store runners ourselves, we definitely are physical media people. This is one that I did see when it first came out to Kickstarter. I did not fund this movie, but I did make mental note of it and then tracked it later on and picked up a copy because I was like, all right, well, let's add that to the pile of like bizarre movies we could talk about with people. It's always fun to subject a guest to the most ridiculous movies possible, and this was something that was in that list for you. I'm happy you picked it. I hadn't seen it before this. I imagine Lee has never seen this before as well. Nope. And I can't imagine that you've seen this one.
Haven't.
You know what? This one, it must have just slid under my radar. I didn't see it.
Yeah, it's from 2010. You've had over a decade. I don't know what's wrong with you.
It's blissfully short. It's only an hour and 10 minutes.
I will say. So I've been really busy lately. There's a lot of behind the scenes stuff I'm working on and whatnot. And like last night, I remember being like, oh my God, I gotta watch that movie. I gotta watch that movie for those guys. And I'm like, okay, let me turn it on. I'm like, oh, thank God. It's an hour and 10 minutes. And then like, right. I think I forget which one I was talking to, but I texted one of you in the morning and I'm like, I still have 10 minutes. I got to like toward the very end and I'm just like, oh my God, I need to sleep. I'll finish this tomorrow.
I need like an intermission now. I can't keep.
Yeah, I couldn't even make the full hour, 10 minutes.
At least you made it an hour. There are some where I watch it for what feels like years of my life, and then I'm like, all right, let me take a break, take a piss. You hit the pause button. You're like, I'm 7 minutes into this movie. This is an hour and 53 minutes. This was fine.
Yeah. What did we talk about? Oh, on my show, it was actually a Patreon episode, and I made it like a free sample. Recently on my main channel, we talked about a movie called Cannibal Farm.
Oh.
And I remember me and my co-host Casey were like, this movie is not long. It feels really long. Yeah. Not because it was necessarily boring or bad. It's just so much is happening that you can't process that it's happening in such a small time frame.
Those are the time warp movies where you're just like one way or the other, where you're like, 3 hours into this 45-minute short my friend made me watch. I was about to kill myself. Yeah.
I will say this movie, I've seen another puppet movie recently. I watched Thanksgiving 3. I don't know if you've seen that.
Oh, we've reviewed that.
Yeah, that's one that was very... That movie took a weird direction from the previous...
Did you see Thanksgiving 1? Or just go straight to 3?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, no, I've seen Thanksgiving 1 a couple times. I've seen Thanksgiving 1. So I thought I knew what I was going into with Thanksgiving 3, and I'm like, oh, wow. I feel like Thanksgiving 1 became such a big like cult film that they just said, here's a bunch of money, do whatever you want, and the guy's like, I want to play with puppets. And it's just a giant puppet movie.
I kind of love and respect that, though.
I was kind of nice with it. I was kind of all right with it.
At least that's all practical locations, which is nice. Like, this movie is more the digital sets, which has its place.
I didn't particularly care for Thanksgiving 3 that much, but
First of all, ow! Second of all, where did you get that whip?
But yeah, I did appreciate that he was just
as a Fraggle Rock fan, when I see them going to another dimension with like caves and smoke and little like fur, I'm like, oh yeah, but yes, it doesn't have the same tone as 1. Yeah.
To tie it back to this film, like I'm not sure why this film needed to be puppets.
I have a theory, and I have no facts to back this up, that the person pretty much filmed the whole thing themselves, and then people overdubbed him saying things, so he filmed it entirely himself, because some of the puppets' mouths don't line up with what they're saying.
I wouldn't be here if it weren't for you.
You really are a wimp, Charlie Hawkins.
Forget it.
And that could just be that they're not actually puppeteers or whatever, but I have my mind tells me that this is out of a necessity of, like, I want to make a movie, I'm going to do the whole thing myself, and then get people after the fact.
The recording, the ADR and whatnot, is all over the place. Some of it sounds like it's done on like a really good mic. Other times it sounds like it's over the phone. Like he recorded a phone call for some
like
of
a
these.
like a Kickstarter tier. You get to be the girl, and it's just it's just like
and
popping. I'm like, oh, it was like hurting me.
Charlie, you peed your pants last year in the haunted corn maze.
It's not consistent at all.
Yeah.
I do think that could be right. It could all be Kickstarter audio.
All right,
so real quick,
now as a joke. That's okay. Yeah.
Everybody, your non-spoiler thoughts. Would you recommend? Did you like it, etc.? And then we'll jump into spoilers.
Okay. Would I recommend it? It depends on who I'm recommending it to. Like my friend Joe from Movie Dumpster. He loves movies involving puppets and whatnot. But I don't think he'd be super into this type of, because the puppets aren't particularly impressive. No. But I might recommend it to someone like him, who I know a movie like this would probably be in their wheelhouse. I wouldn't recommend this to like anyone else, really. So like I just wouldn't recommend it. But I mean, it's not the worst thing ever. It's definitely not the worst thing ever, but like there's more enjoyable stuff you could be watching.
Lee,
I hate this movie. I fucking hated this movie. This movie was dog shit. Bro, listen, it is okay. It's like written and directed by the same guy. No spoilers, whatever.
Dustin Mills.
Don't name and shame. I'm about to put him in a body bag. Listen, there's no shame in writing a script and letting your friends read it and just asking them, "Hey, did you laugh like once?" And if they all say no, just get a writer, get someone in to like punch it up or like write something. Like, I feel like he was really motivated and really wanted to do puppets and After Effects and stuff, and something got lost along the way. I hated this. This was painful. Stefan, you loved it?
Okay, so I won't say it was good. Let me say, I think there's like 3 things that are funny in this movie, maybe 5. But the problem is it's like a shotgun of attempted jokes that don't land. I think it's in the wrong time period. This is 2010, but I think it's more like comedy from 1995 through 8. And I think had it come out then and been like a installment-based thing directly to the internet, I think this could have had some sort of a following.
Early YouTube web short,
exactly.
Like Newgrounds. Oh god, it was
exactly.
cool.
But it wasn't that, and that is its biggest downfall. So I will not say that I recommend this to most people, but if you're like a crazy person and watch like everything, this is obviously part of your completionist journey. It's not the worst pile of shit I've ever seen, and I do have a soft spot for puppets, so I'll say yeah, you should check this out.
I actually didn't say if you like puppets and you have like an immature sense of humor. If you are watching season 1
a
of South
requirement
Park still,
yeah.
Oh, I got scared, Kenny. Oh, bastards.
You need to watch this immediately.
There were a couple good gags and a few one-liners that I enjoyed.
We'll get into that.
We will call those out.
You know, it's funny. The whole time I'm watching it, I'm like, this is reminding me of another internet show. What was it? Transylvania Television? That was like a puppet.
Wait,
it was.
I think we know.
You know what I'm talking about?
I might. When I talked about.
Yeah, I remember. I think I used to see it on the Channel Awesome forums way back in the day, or like the old Channel Awesome. I think they used to host their stuff on their website. I watched like a little bit of it here and there. It wasn't really my thing, but the whole time I'm watching it, it's pretty funny. I'm like, hey, this kind of reminds me of that Transylvania Television thing. And then as soon as it got done streaming on Tubi, recommended next was Transylvania Television. I'm like, I'm not the only one, apparently. Tubi's algorithm also agrees with me.
They use the same hashtags.
Yeah, the algorithm has trained your brain to predict it now. It's taken over.
And the puppets look really similar, but I'm not like seeing any overlap on IMDb, I guess. Maybe I'm not looking hard enough, or maybe they don't want to be associated with one another. But yeah, that's all I got. If you like puppets, you'll like it, or you'll at least enjoy it.
All right, guys. So if you've seen it or don't care, follow the spoilers. If not, pull out now.
If you need a place to rent content, you better listen. We're Cannibal Video, and we eat the competition.
All right, Tony. So let me hear your spoiler-filled thoughts here now. Let's get deep into it.
Okay. So let's try to figure out the plot of this. I think I got it. A secret Nazi puppet makes a giant monster puppet that eats people in his castle. Meanwhile, a puppet guy and his puppet girlfriend get invited to something, and his puppet grandfather brags about being in the war and kicking Adolf Hitler in the dick. And then there's also like this punk puppet, and he is having puppet sex with his punk puppet girlfriend. They all go to this house, and like one by one, they're kind of killed by this monster until the puppet guy's grandfather comes to save the day with the military. And you find out it's a big revenge thing because the puppet Nazi scientist was one of the people that the Hitler dick kicker wronged in the past. And then, I don't know, a bunch of people get shot, a monster's screaming, and there's explosions.
I'm sorry, that was wonderful. I'm dying because you called one of them the puppet guy as if like they're not all puppets. And I was like,
I have to add a correction here. Tony,
sorry.
I think you didn't understand the movie at all. The grandfather actually punched Adolf Hitler in the dick.
The man who punched Hitler in the pecker? That's right.
There was no kicking.
Damn.
He
God
punched him
damn
in
it,
the dinger.
you caught me. You caught me. I didn't even watch it. I just read a... No. This is what happens when you watch a movie at like 2 in the morning and you're like, you know what, I should probably
punched
watch
in the
this
pickle.
later.
But when you lay it all out like that, this movie sounds amazing. Like that sounds like it's got everything I need. But they managed to do all of that in like the slowest kind of meandering way. There's that weird puppet that's red and like token nerd voice, and he just narrates what he's doing.
I kind of liked him for some reason. He was doing it for me.
You little mink.
Ramey Campbell.
What the fuck are you?
My name is Ramey Campbell. I appear to be the 5th member of this would-be adventuring party.
Of course, that's Token.
He's like, I'm just walking. And he constantly reacts, and it's always like nothing serious until it is. I don't know, for whatever reason, that was kind of like making me giggle. Not a full-on like, ha ha. I was like, ha.
It's that Token voice, I think, that put me. I'm like, you could do anything. Do your normal voice. It's obviously a nerdy character. Like, I don't know. That just it felt like weird shtick to me.
I don't know if I chuckled or smiled, but when he's like, "Oh, was it I who was early, or perhaps it was you who was late?"
Why so early?
Was I early? Or is it all of you who are late?
And they're like, "No, you were definitely early." And he's like, "Oh,
No, you were early.
Fair enough.
or something." And I was like, that was funny because like I know people who do shit like that. Oh, perhaps the truth is actually a lie. And I'm like, no, that's wrong. And you're like, oh fuck, and like fuck. Yeah. But that was it. It wasn't like
He had one brilliant line that now is escaping me, but it was something with him to the girl. He's like, you smell like shit, bitch, or something like that.
Oh, like wipe your ass, bitch, or clean your ass, bitch.
It was something like that, and I was like, that's good. Well, she got sprayed by a skunk.
Ooh, I like your stripe, kitty.
Stripe? I told you it wasn't a kitty.
IMDb has some quotes here from the film. Can I read some of the 7 quotes they chose?
Oh, please do. But let me just say, go wash your ass, Harpy. That's what it was.
Okay.
I probably would have laid him if he kept trying.
Seriously?
No.
Go wash your ass, you harpy.
Here we go. Here, this is the 7 quotes they've picked to really give you an idea of what this film is like. And this is from Gramps. He said, "I used to fuck your grandma 6 ways to Sunday."
I used to fuck your grandma 6 ways to Sunday.
Hilarious.
Gramps again. Did I ever tell you about the time I punched Adolf Hitler in the ding ding?
Did I ever tell you about the time I punched Adolf Hitler in his ding ding? Boom!
Wolfgang Wagner. "I am owed a debt that can only be repaid in blood, and there will be blood."
Blood by the bucket. Blood by the gallon.
Gwen. Ugh, Charles Hawken. "Where's your sense of adventure?" Charlie. "I don't know. Probably just in a dark closet somewhere hanging out with my self-esteem." Okay, that's kind of witty.
Where's your sense of adventure?
I don't know. Probably just in a dark closet somewhere hanging out with my self-esteem.
Come on, Charlie.
No way!
Charlie, I'm gonna headbutt the shit out of you.
I'm gonna headbutt the shit out of you.
What
I did like I'm gonna headbutt the shit out of you. That one I thought was funny because then he does nothing but headbutt him like repeatedly for a while.
It's like a rapid fire. It's like the fastest.
And then there's Raimi. I forgot the one guy's name was Raimi. It was like Raimi Campbell.
Raimi Campbell.
Yeah. What in the wide world of Spock is that smell?
What in the wide world of Spock is that smell?
And then if anyone needs me, I'll be in my room. Using the Force. Those are the 7 quotes they chose.
If anyone needs me, I'll be in my room, using the Force.
What?
Yeah, that's about all the information they have on the movie, and I feel like I would just not.
Oh, by the way, this film was featured in, I guess, another film called Trashtastic?
That sounds like something that reviews horrible shit.
Yeah, that's like what we're doing right now.
Is that what it is?
That's just what it sounds like.
Anthology compilation of the most insane, scary, extreme, downright stupid, independent, low-budget movie trailers. There you go. They must have played the trailer.
Available now on DVD.
I like there's like just clone troopers outside because they couldn't afford to like change any of the puppets. It's just, green screened a million puppets. I did like, though, that like general, the grandpa, one of them's like, I love the smell of awesome in the morning. And I was like, that's something I would have sampled like 10 years ago.
I love the smell of awesome in the morning.
Yeah, exactly. At the time, I was trying to do the math on that. And I'm like, because there's a bunch of bunnies at one point, like there's a bunch of soldiers and a bunch of like clone monsters, and I'm like, yeah, in 2010, I think this would have been cool. I can't like place it, in like the internet.
Well, I also wonder, it came out in 2010. This is the type of thing that I'm sure was like a dude doing it in his basement over the course of years, potentially. So this may have started when I said it would have been cool, and he finally finished it. Or technology kept changing. He's like, I'm going to refilm that, and just kept going. Like, no, there's a lot of things that could have been happening
that was in his head since he was 13, which is why the jokes are the way they are.
I will say,
so funny.
He did attempt that whole when you drag out something like a little too long where it might circle back to being funny again. And like, I think it's when the one girl runs out the room and then her blood just keeps squirting constantly. The blood just keeps going. I'm like,
screw you, bye. I know what I'm doing later.
We really should stick together. It's not safe. Yeah, for sure. Thanks for the tip, gal pal, but I think I can handle myself.
And then leave, and it's like,
but I'm like, part of me is just like, all right, I get it. And then I just circled back. I'm like, okay, that's kind of funny again.
But that's what I was saying before, is like, if you gave this script to some friends or enemies or whatever, in the script, like 10 times, 10 times, it has to say, the farting noises continue until it's funny. That has to be what's in the script, right? Yes. So like you would read that and be like, I don't know, dog, you're doing this a lot. It's like once every whatever. It's too many times. You're doing this
like
gag.
Some of the deaths are funny, and for killing that character, I feel like I would have used that death on somebody else. Like, because that's a character that for no reason is nude like multiple times.
Oh my god.
Glorious. And I like, you're playing that for humor. I would have killed her in a humorous way like that. That would have, included that part, like, like cut the puppet tits off, or do something to that effect.
Bathtub, and it comes up in between her legs, and it's a reference.
Yes.
Fucking do that. Okay.
That'd be much better.
They do nothing. I'm like, fuck.
I will say the monster was kind of cool looking.
It's like an alien xenomorph-esque puppet.
Yeah.
I enjoyed that.
And as it grew and changed and did different stuff, they kind of like were like, okay, like you can tell they put a lot into that puppet.
Godzilla size.
He's heading straight for town. We gotta stop it.
Versus other puppets.
Yeah, the hero puppet.
One of the jokes I really liked is when Gramp shows up with the military, and she's like, "Yeah, you came to save us from the monster," and he goes, "There's a freaking monster in there."
Monster. There's a fucking monster in there.
Like, yes, I had no idea. That was kind of funny.
100%.
There was a really underplayed background joke that I thought was great. This is the world of puppets, and when the monster comes out, like in its little chamber, on the top of the door it says "clearance 3 feet," and I was like, "Oh, that's funny." Like, this monster's huge, but it's 3 feet tall. The deaths, for most part, I thought were pretty fun. Like the red guy getting his like shit sliced off, that was fun.
Yeah.
Like they did do some things.
Yeah, that was kind of cool.
They did like the anime
cutting and popping and slicing.
Yeah, and then it like falls. Yeah, I was like, okay, I'm on board with that. I'm not against that.
Like those type of things where I'm like, okay, there was effort put there, and then it makes for other parts where it's like just blood pack things, you know, like download Andrew Kramer tutorial, put thing there. Like that's what a lot of the stuff felt like. So when they did things where I'm like, oh, you couldn't just drop that in. Impressive.
Yeah.
Oh, you're giving me flashback.
Now we may have to do some keyframes on the mask in order for it to kind of stay where it's supposed to be.
We were video co-piloting. We were doing something with cows or ducks or whatever.
I have video co-pilot. I loved video co-pilot and everything. I hated his tutorials.
Well, I thought they were pretty good, especially for their time and being free.
The whole point was to download his project file, but then
the educational stuff was fine. It's just when he tried to he'd be like, "Hey guys, I'm at the park, and today I'm going to teach you this." And by the way, I went here the other day. I think it was him, and I was like, "Dude, just tell me what button to push."
So I actually went to the bookstore and I bought a bunch of these really, really old books. This particular book is over 250 years old. So
this isn't just him. This is most YouTube tutorials. He was the first one I could think of where I was just like, "Oh my god, what is step one? I don't care about your day at the park or whatever."
No, I don't want to get too off on a tangent, but that's a huge thing that happened. A lot of content creators, because of like the YouTube treadmill and all that bullshit, they were like, "Oh fuck, I have to put up more." So like, it was a channel that that would do in-depth like content, and they'd be like, "I'm at the laundromat. I'm looking at some laundry." Like they'd have to make random ass videos.
I need 10 minutes of this video, something that should be 43 seconds.
Yeah. But no, I love Video Copilot. I still use a lot of Video Copilot stuff. So
I'm missing Murder, She Wrote, you dick. I still got it.
So we mentioned how good the alien monster puppet is. The Mona puppet, for someone who he also put a lot of detail in, her eyes, I could not look away from her. Like none of the puppet's eyes gaze contact. Like sometimes you make a puppet where no matter where you look, it looks like it's looking at you. These are exactly the opposite. Where I'm like, well, he's looking over there, he's looking over there.
Sadbot.
It's very focused.
Looking at two places at once. I thought that was part of the shtick because Grandpa's one of the first puppets you see, and he literally has his
jumping Jesus on a water slide.
Eyes are all whatever.
Well, for him, I think that might be because one of his eyes is also tiny and one's huge. He's a crazy old man puppet.
You got some mail, boy.
I like that.
You may have just rocked my world because I'm like, no, the puppets are ugly on purpose. That's a part of the joke, and you're like, no.
I don't think so. And also, our lead puppet is the least interesting, which I think that is something too. That's kind of funny.
That'd be more than enough to reopen the store, and I could pay off Grandpa's legal fees.
He kind of reminds me of, speaking of Video Copilot, he kind of reminds me of what was the other guy, like Super Time Lapse. He reminds me of that guy had a puppet.
Now let's spin the wheel. Okay.
Super Time Lapse. Woo!
What the fuck was that guy's name?
I don't know.
Oh, Backyard Effects.
Indie Mogul.
Okay, yeah, part of the DIY, whatever. Yeah.
Now we're talking about YouTube from 2000 or whatever.
I've got some bad news, guys.
What do you got?
Sup?
I was looking up the puppets, and at one point, the Gramps puppet, along with a signed picture of the director and the DVD, was being auctioned off.
How much did it go for?
Actually, you know what? Did it not go? I'm looking for.
I love the auction 5 minutes ago. No bids.
The website that it's on, it says sold for, sold date, but there's no information there. But but it wants me to sign in to see I mean, you know what? Maybe it's good news. Maybe it's still available. Go to worthpoint.com and look up Puppet Monster Massacre Gramps Hero Puppet.
No,
we should buy this puppet.
Maybe it's worthless. I mean, priceless. Sorry. Fuck. Who knows?
So I'm watching the movie, and the movie ends, and there's a few little stingery things toward the end.
Yeah.
There's our evil Nazi guy who just got shot in the face. He blinks like he's not dead. You're like, oh god, he's not dead. Mm-hmm. But the part that made me think was Gramps fires off a random missile from his tank, and it blows up this house, and it says Wilson's house. It blows up. He's like, oh no, it's blah blah. And I'm like, who the fuck was that guy? And I remember
set up earlier.
It was set up, but set up so. It's just the neighbor just goes hey, tell your grandpa to go fuck himself. Okay, Mr. Wilson.
Hey, tell your grandpa to go fuck himself, Hawkins.
Okay then.
That's his whole setup. And I'm like, was there an interaction with a bully? Did someone who called him a pussy? I'm like, oh, that was his best friend.
You're a giant pussy.
Excuse me?
I'm like, what the hell is this?
Yeah. You also never see that guy, and it's Wilson. So I thought that was like a joke as well. But yes,
a Home Improvement joke.
Home Improvement.
It's terrible.
Yeah.
A great lover is not one who romances a different woman every night.
If so, it's terrible.
I went to the Puppet Monster Massacre YouTube channel. I'm now subscribed.
Shout out Puppet Monster Massacre. Thanks for the gifted.
Our good boy Dustin Wade Mills it seems like he's moved to 3D animation. And actually doesn't look too bad. I'm looking at it. He used some newer stuff 2 months ago, 6 months ago. I'm like, okay, this actually looks pretty good.
Puppet Movie Massacre 3D. We'll just jump right over to the next one. It'll be like a Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving did.
Yeah.
Skip to.
We should do that.
Hey, Dustin Mills, if you're listening to this, and you might have because you only have 200 subscribers, and I just subscribed to you, and YouTube lets you know when a big channel subscribes to you. Put us in Puppet Movie Massacre 2 or 3.
I would be happy to voice a character in Puppet Movie Massacre 2.
I was about to be like, yeah, it's been a decade, man. This was like his first thing. I'm sure he's doing great. But then you had to just start pounding nails into the coffin and be like, he's got 200 subscribers. Fuck this motherfucker.
Well, no, that's on this. He has done a lot of movies up until 2021.
Yes, I did.
YouTube is not his main gig, obviously.
Yeah.
But he's got a very nice 3D reel on there. Good for him.
Something else I hated, speaking of the end, they make a point to explain that like one of the things in the bag of tricks of Dr. Wagner was necromancy.
We resurrected the dead, healed injured soldiers with black magic.
He like rattles off like a few crazy things they did. They very climactically shoot Gwen, the main puppet's love interest, in the head.
Let's go home.
And I
wasn't expecting that.
I was like, yo, we got 7 minutes though. No. It's going to be necromancy. This is going to end with like, I got a zombie girlfriend and my CIA grandpa. And there's a huge rotting corpse of this dinosaur. And then now he's like a robot. None of that. I was like, what? It just ends with like the Wilson explosion.
The ball kind of drops. It is, and like it does subvert your expectations, shooting the girlfriend in the eye or whatever, or middle of the head, wherever she got shot. But it just because I don't expect something doesn't mean it's good. And that's, I think, a lot of this movie. Just because I didn't expect it,
I think it had to have another piece. They just went ta-da, and it didn't do the second.
That headshot, I think that was a very clever homage to the end of The Departed, where like all the main characters start getting shot in the head. And obviously that was him paying tribute to the great Martin Scorsese in his film The Puppet Monster Massacre.
He's a tribute. I think he paid a tribute homage to Scooby-Doo and maybe Benny Hill. There's that weird monster chase scene with the worst placed music that I have to imagine is only in there because it's royalty free and he didn't want to spend $7 on a song.
Did you watch through the credits?
I watched everything, every goddamn frame.
I sucked every goddamn pixel out this motherfucker. Yo,
wait, there's a post credits.
Kevin MacLeod isn't the end of the credits.
Of course he is.
Oh, okay, okay.
Like website thing that we all.
That man's in every goddamn free movie.
It's in your it's on your C drive next to the video Copilot presets.
How much money do you think that guy's pulling in? Because a lot of his music ended up on
zero. You just have to credit him.
No. A lot of his tracks are on YouTube's audio library, or they were at one point.
Right.
Like the music that they let you...
I think, right? Yeah.
Well, what was it? I forget what his license thing was. Like, I think he had a thing, as long as you credit me, it's free. And I could picture YouTube being like, oh, yeah. And they just credit him and give his shit away for free.
I'm sure they paid him to be in the audio library. Be careful with that YouTube audio library. I had to change my background music in my episodes now. Because I guess the license runs out at some point.
That happens on TikTok and bullshit too.
Yeah, and then YouTube was like, oh, we got a copyright claim because I guess I let the music play by itself for a little bit. And they're like, oh, copyright claim. Like, what? I got it from you, YouTube.
I got it from watching you.
That's literally YouTube's thing. They're like, okay, here are the rules. You followed all of them. Awesome. And now we're going to change the rules and retroactively fuck you. That's what they love doing.
Yeah.
It's their favorite.
Actually, it's funny. Around like 2010, 2012, I remember I donated money to Kevin MacLeod because I was using so much of his music. I'm like, I got to donate to him. And like, he emailed me back. He's like, thank you for the donation.
He's an OG.
And it seemed like a genuine email, not like an automated one. I'm like, oh, okay, cool.
You got some mail, boy.
What is it, Gramps?
Fuck if I know. Why don't you open it?
Yeah, definitely. We've used our fair share of all of our like YouTube shorts. I think where Kevin MacLeod stuff or MacLeod. How is his last? I feel like it's pronounced differently than I always say.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, I'll go with MacLeod.
He's Kevin MacLeod of the Clan MacLeod, and he's over there in his Highlander uniform, emailing people. Thank you very much. Yeah.
To the Clan MacLeod! MacLeod!
Something I liked in this movie that we didn't mention at all was the penguin like little butler guy. And
What? Oh, so, shall I show you to your rooms?
I think that's funny for two reasons, because like your butler would wear a suit and the penguin's kind of like nature's suit-wearing animal. Yeah. I think that's funny, and it appears that might be the only puppet you could just buy from a store. Like I don't know if he made that or not. So like that also stands out for me. He has a couple of interesting things, like where he's his foil, where he like, oh, he opened the trap door, oh, they saw you, and they're like,
I don't care how long you've waited, you almost ruined this entire plan. You're very lucky that this gaggle of good-for-nothings is especially stupid.
Oh yeah, that was kind of weird. You pop through a trap door, but then he fucking Kali Ma's a heart out of somebody and slaps the shit out of people.
Is that what that meant to be?
I think so.
I was so confused by that. I thought he may have had elfin lead psychic powers or something. I didn't see what happened.
He still might.
We can't rule it out. Let's put it that way.
When that puppet is tied up in the beginning, like there's just some random British guy, and I was like, okay, that completely set the tone of this whole movie. Like, from a cold open, you're like, I know what I'm gonna get into. So my expectations, I think that was geniusly put. So I'm like, okay, they're like right here, and they're never gonna move from here.
Why? What do you want from me?
And that's what that cold open did for me. Had they made some amazing cold open, I might have disliked the movie more. But that guy just like random, oh, you're one of those flightless birds. I'm gonna throttle you about the face, or whatever the fuck he says. I was like, yep, that's the perfect level set.
By Jove, I do believe that's one of those flightless birds I've heard so much about.
The cold open is Uncle Traveling Matt getting like, and then he's like getting punched in the face a lot, but it's the same weird blood splatter.
I'm gonna give you the thrashing of a lifetime.
And I'm like, he's cutting him. What's happening? But then he's alive later and has no cuts, and I'm like, oh no. So like same.
Well, that was mouth bloodly.
Where I was like, exactly. I figured it out retroactively, but that's a red flag, I'm going to say, where I didn't know what the hell was happening.
You thought you were smarter than the movie there for a second, didn't you?
I still do.
I have a lot of evidence if you want to go through.
This movie did a thing where like you watch a movie and you're like finding a plot hole, and then it reverses itself. You're like, okay, they answered that thing. When it first started, like my first note is like, what was their criteria to receive one of these notes?
Whoa, you got the same invitation? That's great, we can go together.
Really?
Of course.
These two people that know each other, random, like, what would he be, like, Australian punk guy or British, whatever the fuck that guy is?
Well, he's not British, as we learn. He's doing a fake voice to impress a girl.
What happened to your accent?
That's bullshit, man. I mean, I was just doing the Dick Van Dyke thing to impress Mona. I was just...
he's a poser punk. But, like, I was like, what the fuck is this? It's so weird, like... And then it's like, oh, these people were in like the Simpsons Hellfish version of Puppet World, where they took down the occult Hellboy style. And I'm like, okay, I guess you've answered my question. I don't have as many problems as I had a moment ago. I have other
Jacob's
problems.
Ladder, fucking POW people. God damn it.
Oh, Christ.
Yeah, there's a lot going on. There's a mind.
I shit on it a lot. I think I actually might like this movie.
Oh, the animated scene.
Yeah, which now we know is probably our boy. I don't think he hired anybody. I think he just has recently moved on to 3D animation, but at the time he was in 2010, would have been like Flash or something.
Somebody was like, it's got to be over an hour, and he's like, all right, yeah, like Flash,
do you remember
let's go. And he's
big movies were doing that too. They took, what is it, Jonah Hex, and what was that other movie? It was a priest that did that, where there would be like an animated scene, but not like, I think they were trying to justify it by being like, well, Kill Bill had an animated flashback scene. It's like, yeah, well, that was like really good, like anime.
That was
style
anime as fuck, not like a
but like Jonah Hex and Priest.
I think those animated sequences came in after the fact, and they were like, what the fuck is going on in this movie? We need you to give me some bullshit in the beginning.
Yeah.
Well, we only have like $30 left. Okay, hang on.
Yeah.
I'll just move these little puppets around.
Yeah, it was like weird, like almost motion comic-y, and I'm like, I don't know, this feels out of place here.
Well, they hopped on Fiverr. They had $300, and that came in 3 days later, and they used it.
But no, that's what this animation was reminding me. I'm like, oh yeah, that weird period where Hollywood movies were like, let's just animate this background story and just go right back to the movie.
In like a Hollywood movie, they're like, oh, what is this giant step down in quality? In this movie, I'm like, all right, we had a little money here.
You're like, now we're talking. Let's go. Even in that, though, you can tell because like the one guy theory makes sense, right? Because it like reuses stuff, or there's like just like a gun and like the background is just like one color or like a gradient, right? It's very flat, it's very simple or whatever. But yeah, it was like a nice like, oh, we're doing mixed media now. This is awesome. Like having fun. Yeah.
That part where the USA flag like burns and the Nazi flag rises up behind him, I'm like, oh, okay, I see, he went for something here. Like there's some
like
little
cutscene,
and they're all just, I think, you download the green, the green background version of smoke, and that's like what's coming out of that one puppet's thing, and there's like the fire, and I'm gonna track it to those things.
Oh, that was convenient.
But like a lot of those things were used decently well. Like sometimes. In a movie of this like budget, you can like see the literal edges on things where it's like, you just fit that to where it goes. Like that's not how that works. And there wasn't any of those problems. Like the green screen of the puppet into the world, there was a little bit of dodginess, a little bit where you could have feathered maybe. But like I thought, especially for its time, and again, I don't even know if the budget was listed. I have to imagine this is like the budget was just my time, and I respect that. Yeah, no budget listed, but I think the quality was fine for the money put in. That's what I'm gonna say.
Yeah, it could have looked a lot worse. It could have looked a lot worse.
No, I agree. When you were talking, if you hadn't said it explicitly, I would have mentioned like it is a ton of green screen work. And I didn't see the huge red flags that you would normally see from something on the internet or like a shitty thing where you're like, oh, come on, right? It it's like a well done whatever it is. My biggest problem, as I said before, was the script. That's everything else.
The script is,
but no one's here for that, so don't worry about that. Yeah, exactly.
The visuals, I thought, though, like the backgrounds were unique at certain times, like, and it shows that the man's like a 3D artist because some of those backgrounds, I was like, this is almost in an uncanny valley territory on some of those sets where I'm like, I'm not exactly sure what I'm looking at. Like trees had a really weird texture to them, where I was like, did you scan in a carved tree? Is that all 3D? There was some weird shit where I'm like, you're fucking with my brain, movie, and I like it.
Like the lighting, things would glisten or something like that. It was weird sometimes. And had
the moon is fucking tremendous, where I'm like, that should be the problem. That monster should be secondary. The tides would be fucking up. We had fucking tsunamis and shit. The moon's bigger than Earth.
I'm trying to look up other movies that have puppets in it. I'm like, are there any good like puppet movies that
I was joking with Lee off camera. I was like, oh, now Tony's gonna be locked in as the puppet guy. Anytime we have him on, I'm gonna put a puppet movie on.
Like I'm thinking of like a puppet movie that is not like there's a puppet in the movie, like they're showing Little Shop of Horrors.
Have you seen Frank and Zed? That might be one of the best movies with puppets ever made.
I funded that on Kickstarter.
I also funded that. Meet the Feebles is a nice bad one.
Oh, shit!
Team America is a good one. But yeah, I don't know many like legit just puppet movies where like all the characters are puppets.
I would say the sex scene in this is probably heavily inspired by Team America.
Oh yeah. Not as good or funny.
Well, because again, he didn't go as far. This is that thing we were talking about. Had he gone longer or like had some position change or anything, it was, it's all one note. And that's part of the joke too, is that I call him Sid. Is his name Sid? What is the British fake guy?
I couldn't remember a single name of any character.
Part of his joke is that he's like this one pump chump kind of guy.
Winston Churchill.
Well, that was a little longer than last time, I think.
And like does not last long, so you couldn't really have that same long extended. This is going too far puppet sex scene.
No.
But I would have liked that.
Okay, so you even called out, which I also, it's in my notes, like, oh, I love that she gets sprayed by a skunk and then she's like in the shower, and I thought like, oh, she's gonna die, like it's a horror movie, and it's so funny that they're
psycho
like,
type
oh, like gratuitous nudity, blah 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 blah, and then when the other guy's coming in to be like a creep, in my head I'm like, oh, she has like skunk juice in her eyes and she can't see, and she thinks that's her, like her boyfriend.
A Revenge of the Nerd scenario.
You're that nerd.
Yeah. Yeah, and she's like, "Wow, you lasted so long." And he's like, "Well, I've been practicing and just some fucking stupid fucking thing like
the
that."
Force is strong with this one.
Yeah, and then she like throws him out, and then everything happens, and then she gets eaten or like whatever. Like she's like, "I told you, leave me alone," and then like it like
that should have been the joke for her.
something.
It should have been her
There's
like
no
laying
joke.
on the bed,
Yeah.
being like, "Come on, Sid, eat me," and then and then the monster gets it.
Yes, something like that.
It should have been some horror-based death.
Because they were setting that up, right? That's the whole
Yeah.
thing. I'm not saying like, oh, I just want a horror death, but yes, she's not even supposed to be there. She's extra.
I'm not even supposed to be here today. Oh, fuck you.
This movie feels like a weird, like experimental, like MTV era thing that you would watch late at night.
Liquid
Sketch
television
comedies.
style weird stuff, or
Yeah.
Mad
Yeah, I was gonna
TV,
say.
almost in quality, I would say. Oh, you know what I have to touch on? So this movie totally could have rode by where like there's not really a lot of cursing in it, and like all the nudity was puppet.
Wait a tick.
Not yet, baby.
Go tea and crumpets.
God damn it.
Until they show like a woman on the screen. Like you totally robbed an audience because you could have marketed this towards kids, and I think that's more your audience. Your humor level, I'm understanding you were probably thinking, oh, I'm going to get this adult audience, they're going to appreciate my art, but really this is like children's stuff. Like this should have been aimed at like 12-year-olds, and you shot yourself in the foot with 4 seconds on a TV screen that didn't need to be there. It also could have been puppets, and it would have been just as good and given you none of the rated R vibes. I don't, and honestly, this guy not above just putting that same, what's her name, Mona or whatever puppet on the TV and just being like, oh, look, the hair's parted the other way. Like, I don't know why we made this whole big deal out of it and had to probably pay someone. That might be a large chunk of the budget, might be that little girl, or it's like some royalty-free stuff he got on like archive.org.
Yeah,
yeah, he probably got a bought
That's
something.
like hardcoresex.wmv from Kazaa from LimeWire. He's fucking, my man is not paying anybody for those things.
I do love that aspect of things. There's a level of movie where people just do not give a shit or don't know to give a shit.
Do you think I am an idiot?
And like, so I wouldn't even be surprised if it's like, oh, I YouTubed that. It said it was free. I didn't look into it, but why would they lie?
Oh, why does it lie?
Like, it wouldn't surprise me at all.
Yeah.
Or if it was his girlfriend, would also be not equally not surprised.
Yeah.
Good for him.
Good for him. No, the puppet, apparently.
Oh. Well, he's fucking those puppets. Don't be ridiculous. You're not just going to have it. What are you talking about?
You don't have a dime piece like that and you don't take advantage of it.
I mean, obviously, right?
All right, I think we've said all there is to say about the puppet movie Massacre. So I'm gonna say this talk actually made me come full circle on it, and I recommend the movie now. While I didn't recommend it before, talking about it has gotten me to say, like, yes, it is bad, but almost in a good way, because the man was, I think, trying his best to make an earnest, good movie, and he's not super good at writing a script. And I think that sometimes makes for the best, like, bad movies. This is a group watch. I would say do not watch this alone. My God, do not watch this alone. It is not like, you need to be playing poker or something and looking up and going, what the fuck is that? Like, it's perfect for that. Or put it on a party when you're going to be walking in and out or drinking. Like, yeah, this is your movie.
Projected on the side of your high school. Don't
this is your senior prank. You project this on the side of the guy reading off your valedictorian speech. It's perfect.
I agree. I recommend it as long as you don't watch it. I totally recommend the movie. 100%.
I want that grandpa puppet.
2 thumbs up. Yes.
Yeah, I agree with what you guys are saying. I mean, it's pretty stupid, but if there's some level of charm to it, I'll give it that.
23 bushels of carrots on the wall, 23 bushels of carrots. Take one down, pass it around. 22 bushels of carrots on the wall, 22 bushels of carrots.
You can feel the blood, sweat, and tears in those puppets.
You really can. You really can.
They are disgusting.
All right, so Tony, thank you for joining us. You want to tell the people again where they can find you?
You can find me at Hack the Movies on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts. We do a show every Monday. On Thursdays, I either put out like a smaller bonus video, or recently I do a live episode. And if you can become a fan, join the Patreon, where we do bonus reviews and commentary tracks and other fun stuff. And we got a big back catalog for everyone, so check that out.
All right, guys, thanks for watching. Let us know in the comments below what you thought about it. Don't die in a fire, and we'll see you next time.
If you want to support the show, head over to cannibalvideo.com, pick up some merch.
And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button.
That's all right.
Yeah, that's something.
Whatever.
Fuck these motherfuckers.
Damn it.
Cannibal Video has everything you need. A wide array of VHS and DVDs. We ate the competition, now it's only us. Our expert staff opinions you can really trust. Come and browse our aisles for the movies that you love and know. Stop by Cannibal Video, yeah, Cannibal Video.
If you're offended by these things, then the producers have this message for you. Go fuck yourself. You are a pussy.